Bon appetit, Your Majesty, wrapped up with a beautiful bow. Viewers couldn't be more pleased with how things turned out in the end. Sadly, this is where the journey ends for the fans' reformed tyrant king and his chef. After JiYoung died and went back to her time, the king had to choose between going back to his reclaimed palace or going after his chef. Wish viewers had gotten to see his first reaction to getting into the future. Meanwhile, the last 2 episodes filled all the plots in the drama. As I speculated in my previous video, the king and JiYoung were existing in a time loop. Remember, at the beginning of episode 11, the king told JiYoung to come back to him if she were to return to her time. JiYoung, time-slipping the first time on the plane, was not just her fulfilling that promise, but was an unlocking of the memories she had buried, which was why she slipped into a coma. Did you notice that the Weisban page was already torn when she skimmed through the journal? I'll explain further below. The king's desperate plea on the last page of his journal was the magic words. Throughout the entire time, JiYoung and the viewers were in the Joseon era, navigating the Ming competition and coup. JiYoung was recalling how she had fulfilled the first promise, taking the viewers along for the ride. They both forgot their soul connection the first time they met. And just like fate and destiny, they started to rewrite their fate and star. The king began to keep a journal of the delicious meals JiYoung made for him, and went so far as to name his journal after the book she claimed had brought them together. But somehow, the king had known that JiYoung was special to him, which was why he declared that he had chosen her after his first meal at the palace. With time, JiYoung became both his strength and weakness. She helped him through conquering his rage over his mother's death, and set him on the path of becoming a saga king. However, she also became his weakness, which the villains explored, by using her to get him out of the palace, to carry out their coup. What's more, when JiYoung made the promise to the king to return to him, she also asked him what would happen if, despite trying her best, she were unable to return to him. The king said he'd find her. When JiYoung took the sword for him, her blood spilled on Manganrock, which she's come to learn was originally the king's journal, activating the book, which took her back to her time. However, just as the first promise had brought JiYoung back to the king, the second promise was still interwoven with the book. The book is a testament to their love, carrying both their love and longings. When the king asked JiYoung to be his companion, he had promised to make her breakfast every morning. The meal happens to be the first meal she made for him, when she time-slipped into the Joseon era. This was why the page of that promise was torn, and left with the king. The page was already torn when JiYoung first read the book. This means that all that had happened before her time on the plane. Think about it, the page tore when JiYoung disappeared. But it was already torn when she first saw the book in the future. This means the book activated her lost memories, taking her back in time, which caused her to slip into a coma. If you noticed, her bag and all its contents were with her in the hospital when she woke up. Makes you wonder what happened to the one the king found for her. For some reason, their promise became a pathway, leading them to one another, no matter which lifetime. Meanwhile, as expected, Prince Jasan failed woefully. He was a fictional character who didn't exist during King Yeon Sangin's time. He was bound to fail from the beginning. His plan was to install Prince Jinmyang as king, as he was already the next in line to the throne, make him a puppet king, and eventually dispose of him and become king himself. Had he killed the young prince, people would have suspected there was more to his story. What's more, the king's men reclaimed the palace, and waited for the king's return. It would have been easy for the king to return to the palace, and reclaim his throne. But he chose to go after his chef, JiYoung. This was why the records said that his body disappeared. Prince Jasan's body must have been found at the site, with the king's body missing. What's more, it was epic seeing the craftsman join the fight in the last episode. JiYoung did well sending for him, knowing how innovative he is with weapons. This helped in turning the tables. What's more, Mokju had her karma. I had wished it was something grand, but it makes sense that she died by the jester's hands, as his main purpose had been to avenge his sister. The jester was lukewarm with the king, as the king had been a true tyrant before JiYoung's arrival, which was why he took the shot at the king, at the beginning of the series. But he later became his avid follower, when he discovered that he had changed. Due to the king's failure to return to the palace, his young half-brother continued his reign as a saga king, which is why he was remembered in history as a tyrant king who committed a purge. What's more, it was interesting seeing her kitchen staff in the future with her. I'd say, what a pleasant, unlikely coincidence. Understandably, the writer wanted to give them closure, which is why this was pulled. But we aren't complaining. Trust Song Jae to still be the same in several lifetimes. Who would have thought he'd be a con man, playing with food? At first, I had thought he was the king's friend, and had come with him. But that wasn't the case. Thankfully, the king time-slipped just like JiYoung did, and wasn't a reincarnation. But this makes one wonder if he'll someday go back to his time, as time hates anomalies. It would have been entertaining to see him navigate the modern world, with his Joseon ascent and royal disposition. Let's just assume that he was able to find JiYoung because of the article. They had a devastating ending in the Joseon era, but had their happily ever after in the modern world. In all, this was a deliciously entertaining watch. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the series? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for all things wonderfully K-drama. Thanks for watching, bye.